Hi everyone, welcome to day 2. I'm recording here from my bedroom. Another way to show that you can do this anywhere. Doesn't matter. As long as you have space and you're a person and you exist, these practices can be done. Today's practice has to do with some writing and going into the idea of letting go, which I mentioned in the description. We'll go through 3 different layers of activity: letting go, getting still and noticing, and calling in. We're right now in that starting to shed and let go phase, which comes with some mindfulness as well. Today's activity will be 2 different things. First thing will be free writing. So what that means is you take a timer, make it like 3 to 5 minutes, whatever works for you. Put your pen on the paper. When it starts, just write. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter if it's good, doesn't matter if it's something you want to say or not, just let it come out of you. Whatever it is, if you're writing like I don't want to write, you can be like squiggle, 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 word, word, word. Just keep it going. The idea being to start to empty the mind, getting the things out that are a little distracting or cloud us from having other original thoughts. So just shedding all the stuff, all the noise in the mind and letting it go. The second part will be to make a list of things that you are trying to shed, things that you are trying to let go of in your life, things that don't serve you and you want to let go of. That could be a tough one, of course. There could be things that you're absolutely ready to let drop, or things that you're thinking about letting go of but haven't quite gotten there yet, but it's still like in your heart, it's in your intention. So I invite you to make that list. And then with that list, once you make it and you read it and you see, the invitation then is to get rid of it. A way of releasing and shedding that, you could burn it if you would like to go into some of the more ancient practices of, times where people really let go of stuff into the fire. If that is not an option for you, depending on where you live or what your apartment's rules are about candles, I don't necessarily recommend burning it inside. That's probably a bad idea. But if you can't do it outside safely somewhere, you could also rip it up. Just cathartically rip it in this kind of ceremonial act of releasing this. Like it's out on paper, it's been said, I am ready to shed this and let it go. Or start that process of shedding if you aren't quite there yet. One of the examples I like to talk about with shedding is the snake, and how it's not always like a quick process, but once it happens, it's just there. So a snake, when it goes into active shed, it's very much like what we do in winter ritual. It gets really still and just sits there dormant as the skin starts to separate. Even to the point where the skin or the tissue over the eyes starts to separate a little bit, and it fills up with this milky fluid that renders them almost blind. So during this time of shed, they don't actually know what's next or what's going on, and that sense is limited. So again, in that active period of change, there's a lack of connection, which can be very scary, especially if we look at this from our human minds about that. I don't know that snakes are freaked out about it. But anyway, as they're shedding and they go through this, suddenly one day, it's just like, it just moves out. It doesn't really struggle. It's not like a butterfly coming out of a cocoon. It just kind of goes, and then that's it. And so there will be some things here where they'll just shed off. It won't be a thing. But there will be other things where you need to sit with it more, and where that letting go process, that detaching, will take time. But getting still and sitting with it is what can allow that process to happen. So again, the question, what would you like to shed? What are you ready to release? See what comes out on paper. You might be surprised. What we think in our heads can become much more solidified once we put it down on something and can see it, once it's separate from us, not just this floating thing in our minds. And things might come out of that pen that you didn't expect to say or be ready to say. So get curious about that. Yeah. You're welcome, of course, to share too. If there's anything you'd like to publicly announce that you were releasing, you can totally do that too here. All right. enjoy this exercise, and I hope you all have a beautiful day.